Yeah, recruiting rankings. Those are typically what's talked about during the off season, but we need to now add the transfer portal rankings as a barometer of talent acquisition.
Yep. And so, it came out last week that USC, with the Mario Williams acquisition, with other transfer acquisitions, this was before the Shane Lee pickup, also before getting Auburn linebacker Romello Height also over the weekend. This was before those two SEC pickups over the weekend. USC had already risen to number 3 in the national transfer pickup rankings in terms of acquisitions made in the transfer portal specifically. So you add Shane Lee on top of that, and then assuming you get Caleb Williams, USC will be numero uno, number 1 in the national transfer rankings if Caleb Williams comes. So that just speaks to the instant transformation that Lincoln Riley is making at USC. One other point to make, just as these transfers continue to come in, he said several weeks ago that he wanted to turn over 35 roster spots. And, he might not get there, but the point remains that if you don't set a really big, ambitious goal, you're not going to get anywhere close to it. So, let's say he doesn't get 35. Okay, he gets 25. That's still an amazing turnover in the roster. And it cements that notion that Lincoln Riley and his staff are really intent on pushing the Clay Helton era out. We want our players, our prospects, our commitment, our roster, our philosophy, players who fit what we do, what we want. That process is going along really, really well. There's that level of turnover that Lincoln Riley and his staff are pointing to, and that, Mark, reinforces the ultimate point that the idea of a quick turnaround at USC, doing it in 1 year as opposed to 2. While I don't think we should bank on it, and put all our eggs in that basket and say, oh, it's going to happen. It's inevitable. We shouldn't go that far. But the idea, the credence attached to that notion that USC can do all of this in year 1, it's becoming more credible precisely because of all the activity you're seeing in the transfer portal. It really can remake rosters with that level of significance, that level of scale.
During our live streams and call-in shows, I, on a regular basis, see the live chat humming about recruiting rankings and various fan bases making fun of, poking fun at their recruiting rankings pretty soon. And I'm going to take note of the first time I see somebody bragging about a transfer portal ranking, but it's coming. The day is coming.
And hey, if you're USC and you get Caleb Williams, assuming that does happen at some point this week, and you can say you're number 1 in the transfer portal rankings, like that's a pretty big deal. That's definitely something to tout, especially since you want to be at the forefront of the portal every year, knowing how much that can remake your roster, knowing how much that can give you the missing pieces to the puzzle. Like if you have most of a good roster, but you still need those 2 or 3 extra pieces, that's what the transfer portal's for. So touting a transfer portal ranking like that should now become bread and butter. The standard practice in college football in terms of what programs do to market themselves on a national level.